Welcome to Teaching Artist Podcast, a show dedicated to discussions of teaching art to kids, making art, and how those things overlap and feed each other. I'm Rebecca Potts, your host, a visual arts teaching artist.
I loved reconnecting with Pamella Allen. She has always been an artist. Her love for teaching came when she was managing a bush camp in Malawi and decided to volunteer at the local school. From there, she went on to teach in India after an artist residency there moved her to get involved in the community, and then in New York City where I met her. She has taught all ages and continues to teach as a teaching artist for several nonprofit organizations working in schools and senior centers. We met when I helped manage art education programs for the Brooklyn Arts Council and got to visit her classrooms to see her in action. It was such a pleasure getting to connect with her and hear more about her background and her artwork. Pamella Allen is a Jamaican-born, Brooklyn-based artist who uses artifacts from her own life experiences, pulled out of the chaos of memory and observation. Pamella's work is layered in process. Mixed media paintings, printmaking, sculpture, papermaking, installation, photography, video, essay, and prose all combine to create her own archetype, a universal language of images found and remembered that speaks to the diversity of her Jamaican African heritage and lived experiences traveling the world over land and sea. Pamella has been traveling and producing art for over 25 years. She has participated in traditional studio residencies, created commissions for corporate and private collectors, curated art exhibitions, and shared her arts process in underserved communities in Africa, India, and New York. I loved talking with her, but our audio was not the best. We had some audio recording difficulties, so bear with us. She's got some amazing insights, and it's worth listening and dealing with the kind of not so great audio. So thank you for listening. Let's dive into our conversation.
So welcome, Pamella Allen. I am so excited to talk with you and reconnect with you. For anybody listening, I worked with Pamella many years ago in Brooklyn when I worked for the Brooklyn Arts Council. So, hi, welcome.
Hey, Rebecca. So good to reconnect with you. Gosh, I can't believe the time has flown.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking back, like, what year was that? That was like 10 years ago. It's crazy. So, I might know some of this, but I would love you to just share sort of your background and how you became an artist, how you became a teacher. Did one come first, and just sort of talk through your background?
Artist definitely came first.
Yeah.
Born in Jamaica, raised here in the States, started making art where I understood that I lost time, and this was a good place, a comfortable place to be. I would say probably like 5 years old. It stilled me. And family like, oh, she's still when she does this. Here, have more art supplies. Here, it's your birthday, have art supplies. Oh, it's Christmas, have art supplies. Oh, I need a poster made, make me a poster. So there was a lot of encouragement.
Yeah, that's great.
Coming up. And so it just became a language that I always used.
Yeah.
I could understand things in those terms. I had a hard time with math. I could figure it out. I saw it, visualized it. I understood its place of usefulness. So, as just I've always made art my entire adult life. I've been an artist over 35 years, career as an entrepreneur, succeeding, failing, traveling lots all over the place. Africa and East and Central Africa and Kenya, Tanzania, Malawi. That's where I found teaching arts. Went up at the school, just sort of made some art with the kids.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And just with whatever I had. First class I had nothing. We made drawings in the soil outside.
Wow. That's sort of extremely appropriate right now for the situation a lot of art teachers find themselves in.
I think so, just to sort of, and that's the process as I understand it for myself and how I like to, the means by which I share the process in the classroom, right? Or whoever the population is, has to be basic, because it is basic.
Yeah. And how did you initially connect and start teaching there?
Well, I was spending a lot of time between Kenya and Malawi. I fell in love with Malawi in a village called Kandy, which is like 100 k's north of the big city. Sorry, south of the big city. And just the village that lived a couple of k's off of a lake that was rented by a dude who had a bush camp, had an overland truck. So I ran the bush camp.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, it was just a way to hang out and stay in one place and not have to, because I was backpacking across Africa. You know what I mean? So I wasn't. It was just a way to, bush camp, tents, beautiful by the lake, and there was the village, and there was the school, and there was the clinic. Any of us who came and stayed, whatever, however we could get stuff, were the folks who were our friends, and they took care of us. And really took care of us because it was a lot of malaria there. And so it wasn't like we weren't conquering Westerners, saving Africans. Let's put it that way. We were living in community. And so it was just natural to, link up at the school and visit the school. And so that's how it began. And then, there was a big run on pencils and paper, because the schools are so undersupplied. So I'd just go and drop off stuff, whatever I had with me. That's how we sort of developed the relationship.
Yeah, that you're sort of sharing with them.
Yeah, hanging out and seeing what the classroom looks like.
Yeah, what's going on there?
Yeah, snooping.
That's such another, like a totally different world too, when you think about what we think of as, the under-resourced and underfunded, which they are, but it's a different level here.
It's a very different level here, but fundamentally it's the same. It's the same. It's a mindset that drives a desire to incorporate the arts and an understanding of how it incorporates in day-to-day life anyway, and then, a mindset that sees no value.
Yeah.
It's always the same. It's just manifested in village or in Brownsville, in Bazan Kunch in New Delhi. It's the same mindset.
Yeah. And did teaching there impact your artwork? Did that change the way you were making or what you were making?
It did not. What it did do, which was valuable, was that it helped me to evaluate my process. Because in order to sort of share the process, I'd have to evaluate it. So I guess it does impact my art making. It's just easier for me to manipulate things like that.
Yeah.
But I always teach what I'm doing because I think there's some element of it. So I think that makes it fresh.
Yeah. And then how long were you there? Were you there for years and then you came back to the States and wanted to continue teaching, or sort of, I guess, how did you end up teaching in Brooklyn?
That happened, it was the first time was Africa, then the second time really was India. And that was right before I started at Brooklyn Art Council. And that sort of solidified the desire to sort of, okay, let's just do this within a system.
Yeah.
And with the special ed population.
Right.
So right after that, I did a residency, painter's residency for a couple months, and then just because of the way the children were just, the street kids, it was just so heartbreaking. I couldn't really process how such a big and wealthy nation with so much spirituality could have so many kids needed so much. But I found this school to volunteer at, and that's I found the people who were doing good work and, rebalanced myself, because at this school, actually, Protestant, it's a school for the economically, physically, it's basically for, anybody with special needs across the spectrum, with prosthetics, needing prosthetics. A lot of kids who had polio, who've lost limbs.
Wow.
Have limbs, who racing, lots of kids in wheelchairs. Just really the schedule of tasks. These folks who are at the lowest rung of the spiritual society.
Right.
But this school is incredible. It's a K-12, and these kids are learning everything. They're learning writing, printmaking, learning how to make their own prosthetics, doing incredible. So I, with the other painters, other artists that were also in the we volunteered and worked with the school and did a massive mural in their life.
Amazing.
And that was, just my first time working with that population. Just all these kids. What? They're incredible. Oh, incredible. And that was it. That was a wrap. I was like, okay, now.
You're like, I'm sold.
Right, because I've been looking at it. I was working in fashion and making my art before getting into teaching. And I was doing all of my reading about therapy.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out how, sort of live this love and had that experience. And I was like, okay, I'll just check it out. Blogs around New York, and it's about just connecting art to community and it's a key. It's important for artists to sort of step out of studio and do that, do something out of studio.
Right. Yeah. To get out of your own head a little bit as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then do you feel like that work in the community, does it now impact your art making? Or is it more just as this, way to continue being part of the community there?
I think I enjoy watching folks take certain steps, take the same steps to make something.
Mm-hmm.
This is intriguing to me.
Yeah.
It's part of, you can make the same piece. You're an artist. You can make the same, you can use the same colors, the same materials, the same lines, make the same piece, but every time you make it, it's
right. So
I enjoy watching that happen for myself, and I enjoy watching it. I enjoy watching the discovery. That, I feel like I enjoy it. So in that way, it definitely impacts my art. Like, I really like to see it. I also think it's a high vibrational moment.
Yeah.
So you can't help but to get hit with like some good vibes from that.
Yes.
Look at you making art over there.
Yeah.
It's a nice moment.
Yeah, totally. You're teaching now elementary and then also working with seniors. Is that right?
Elementary, high school, and seniors. And middle school. Everything.
Okay. So a pretty big range.
Yeah, it seems to be. I mean, I really like high school. I like them all. But I really like high school students.
Yeah.
They're just, I just love the attitude. They just have an attitude. It's fun. I just really enjoy them. They just can't be bothered.
Yeah.
They kind of have it sussed, but they don't know they have it sussed.
Yeah.
Like, they're annoyed. They should be annoyed, but they don't know exactly why they're annoyed. Interesting to watch them work it out.
Yeah. It's so interesting also to be able to have almost adult conversations with students after teaching at the elementary level. It's almost refreshing to talk to them like adults.
Isn't it sad? It's like, oh, you were just sarcastic. Wow, that was fun.
Yeah. And what would you say is your sort of teaching style?
It just seems like all the space needs space in a way. That always surprises me. So do whatever you want to. What do you mean? I want to. So it's almost like you have to leave space. You have to leave space for those who are sort of trying this new technique, trying this thing you're asking them to do, or this basic, simple thing you're asking them to do. It's like you have to leave space for them to find their space. It seems that folks respond. This is across the board, age groups. You give them direction and tell them exactly what they're doing. They resist less than if you just say, hey, do whatever. So that's leading to a even more relaxed side.
Mm-hmm. And does it change a lot with the different age levels?
No, I do basically the same thing with everybody. I do the same things with all the ages.
Right.
Because I'm doing the same things I do in this.
Yeah. So basically just treat them like artists.
Always.
Yeah.
Because I mean, why else would I bother being there? Why would I want to waste their time? I could only bring my practice wrapped in pedagogical language for whatever the administration or the institution I'm in, but there has to be, again, making space for it's almost like I find that sharing process turns into redefining things. Like, what is a mistake? If I'm working in a sketchbook and make a drawing and make a line I don't like, I rip out the paper, crumple it, and throw it away. It's like allowing for the mistake. It's okay. It's a mistake now because it's not what you intended to do, but you can leave it, turn the page, and later on you can build on that one line. It's a start.
Right.
So it's almost like it's a re-education. It's educating folks to what freedom looks
Yeah.
Creating rules for freedom.
Yeah.
Right? So that folks feel comfortable being free.
Right.
They have rules to go by. This is what it is to be free. What is it to be free? There are no mistakes. What do you mean by there are no mistakes?
Yeah, but it is, I mean, it's that thing where it's like, if you have too much choice, it becomes paralyzing. It's impossible to make the decision. If you have that completely blank canvas with no rules, no parameters, it's, just too scary to make the first mark. So yeah, giving some rules, giving some parameters is freeing. I know it sounds like the way you said it, it sounds almost funny, like rules for freedom. But it totally makes sense, right?
Yeah, and that's what we're living right now, right? You can see it. Imagine handling your classroom the way, the government is handling, stay in place. Oh, okay, you know what, you guys work, but, just work.
Right.
They'll be like, I'm on my phone, I'm working. I'm chatting in the corner, I'm working.
Yeah.
It's like creating definition.
It's so crazy.
Creating parameters. We all need parameters.
Yes.
Because if you don't, if it's all chaos, then you end up with like a really muddy canvas like I just made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But,
Yeah, I'm experimenting a bit with radical choice in the classroom. And sometimes it does turn out that it's just a bunch of mess. And I'm trying really hard. I go around and talk with each student about what it is they're doing and what their intentions are. And then also trying to not focus on my adult aesthetic and let there be a kid aesthetic.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, okay, is this the scribble stage of this material for this kid? Or are they just kind of goofing off? You have to, suss that out.
And I was like, what am I being played right now? Because they're really intelligent.
Yeah.
That's the problem. They're all really intelligent and they can suss you out while you're sussing them out.
Yeah. Right.
There's a double sussing going on here. You might think you have them figured out. They think they have you figured out.
And maybe we all don't know anything, or maybe we all have each other figured out.
Mm-hmm. It's all fun in the end.
Yeah.
Are you playing me? Especially with those little faces.
Oh, totally. And I have a 4-year-old now who she really likes to be able to paint. And now she's great with colors. And, I've probably told her way too many times, don't forget to wash your brush in between the colors. But there's times where she wants to just experiment. And, now I know with her that I want to find out, I think if I mix these two colors, it might turn brown, right. But I'm going to do it anyway and see what happens.
See what kind of brown it is.
Yeah. And that type of experimentation is great. Yeah. It's harder when it's students that I don't know as well and trying to figure out, are they really experimenting and really trying to learn something through this process? Or is it just, throwing all the colors around and making a big mess? And I guess either one is really okay, right?
Yeah. I mean,
it's all the process.
It's exactly. It's about oftentimes, I always like to bring intention into it.
Yeah.
This is what you're going for. This is the action you're going to take.
Yeah.
It's really just about the action. It's not about the work, what it looks like. But
yeah,
it is, but that comes as a result of the action.
Right.
So I take away the pressure. So by showing the action.
Yeah.
That's where the little ones if I'm doing the abstract flow sketch, which I think I was doing when you were there, it was always the same, make the circles, hold the pencil, identify the center of the page.
Yeah.
Don't pick up the pencil, make circles, make triangles, make squares, make heavy lines, do that exercise a few times. When you count the shapes, notice the shapes created by the intersecting lines. Then you count the shapes, then we add color to the shapes, and you don't add the same color next to each other. So really basic. I do it every first class. It's a perfect assessment tool.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Everyone's making something, no one fails.
Yeah.
And hitting all your sort of fundamentals.
Yeah. I love that there's also so much looking involved, that's a big part of it.
So the intention, you're understanding how you're holding the pencil, how you're making the lines, what the heavy line looks like, what the light line looks like, what the angle with the curve looks like, what the shapes are.
Yeah.
You're engaged in the process. You're listening, you're taking prompts, you're following instruction, you're repeating the action at least 3 times. And then you're choosing the one that represents the simplest, best shapes, counting them. And you're hitting every kind of button with that exercise.
Yeah.
And then that leads you into blind contour drawing, that leads you into contour drawing of all kinds, observational drawings, each other and others.
Yeah.
It's cheap.
Yeah.
Your pencil, paper, and some marker, watercolor.
Right.
And it's something I do. I mean, it's what I do. It's my duty, basically. It's how I do it.
It's great.
Just expecting shapes and lines and curves.
Yeah. And it works with all ages.
All ages, and if it's in a PD with teachers, then you guys have made your own coloring book pages. It's like whatever language that resonates with the population.
Yeah, that's great.
Think spirographic.
Yeah.
Spirographic.
Oh, totally. Are there any other favorite lessons that you would want to share?
The color mixing exercise is always fun. And that's just if you're let's use visualization in the beginning of the classroom, right? Whether it's stand up mountain pose, visualization, center and something. So if you're doing something like that, then I like to bring in visualization.
Yeah.
Combine that with color mixing, right? And I like to do rare memory color mixing. So you center yourself, you're comfortable in your body, and you get out, and you bring yourself to a fantastic day. Beautiful. Rare memory, you're there. Out, we're focusing on breath, and in there, you're looking, you're seeing. It's a quick, I don't know, it's going to go for you're just really using palm words to guide.
Yeah.
A few minutes, and they're holding on to the image colors. Then you bring them out of it, and one color that really hits them, the most tangible color. It's a sky, a water. Another way of going about it is just get their colors, whether you're talking about your primary. Generally, just call out and let people raise hands. So those who know share, and those who don't remember,
hopefully listen.
Listen, and you instruct them to mix the color of the sky on a sunny day at 12 noon. And you mix that color. Then you ask them to mix the color of the leaves in springtime when they first open up. I do that with my seniors. I do that with everybody. And then they seem to come up with a palette of, by mixing primaries.
Yeah.
They create their own palette.
Yeah. Nice.
I know there's lots of lessons.
There's so many. Yeah. Well, I love the centering the visualizations that you do there with the color mixing. Yeah.
It's really helpful for seniors, especially I had some, and there were a few seniors that were well into Alzheimer's. And the color mixing is a challenge for us, remembering. Then the other seniors helped them out sitting at the table. So it was interesting to see where the challenges lie.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that's interesting that happens in the process, in the teaching arts process, in the art sharing process. Same thing also that happens when you're showing your work. When I, as an artist, am showing my work to the population, the questions, the feedback, the observations on work. Because I show my work.
Yeah.
The visual input often helps. So that exchange that happens, the discourse around the meaning that individuals take in the artwork that they're observing of each other, the encouragement, the self-deprecation that's always the same when folks make artwork. They've made something that's beautiful, they're being praised, and it's saying, well, I'm not an artist. I'm not it always comes back to that experience that they had. Some knucklehead, says something terrible about something amazing they made when they were little and they were sharing it. And it's stuck with that. If I push further, 9 times out of 10, they will tell me when they remember when it happened. They remember who said it.
Yeah. So then
it really sticks.
Yeah. With the little ones, then I feel like it's doubly our job to just build them up and encourage them and say, don't listen to those voices. Yeah, no,
because you ask a kid whatever that thing is that they made, they will have a full-on explanation for you. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. You know what I mean? They're just doing it in a language. They're doing it in a language.
Yeah.
It's visual language. And who's to say what is
good or
We have certain parameters and benchmarks. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That speak to motor skills and development and all of that stuff. You have your little story all worked out. Okay, I'm listening.
Yeah.
Who am I to say that what your story is invalid? I'm listening.
Yeah. And sometimes that's all you have to do is, just listen, be there and hear what they have to say.
And create the space for them to hear each other.
Yeah.
First create the space for them to just get down with it. It's great. Make some marks on this.
Yeah.
Whatever marks we make it cool, as long as they have marks. And then the next step is share.
Mm-hmm. Shifting gears just a little bit, could you talk a little more about your own work? You were just talking about sharing it with your students of all ages. I know this is a hard thing, I feel like, for visual people, but could you try to describe your work for someone who hasn't seen it?
I would say it's probably abstraction. It's contour lines.
Mm-hmm.
And I make just from memory. It starts from a sketch.
Yeah.
So in one way, it's quite traditional, and then in another way, it's just the way I throw the images together is, it's expressionism bordering on surrealism, bordering on representation. I honestly, my work is very traditional, and my background is abstract pieces, and I create my line work, my self-portraiture separate. I take my own photographs. I write my own words. I create my own collage elements. I photograph painting and then paint it and then collage it into another painting. I always start out with a line drawing on paper. And I find that if I work from memories of lots of images that I see, because we're always recording, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
Do it all the time. That's how we live.
Yeah. Constantly have.
We're always recording.
Yeah.
So I'm just sort of capturing them. And if I do it from memory in a really sketchy way, then it helps me they're never perfect, but they are a snapshot. A couple of seconds in time. So it's like almost like a stop motion in reverse. That's how I'm remembering. So that's how I'm sketching. So the mandala pieces are generally reproductions of pieces that I've made already that are incorporated into circles. So then is that photos that are repeated and collaged, or how are those mandala pieces? Sometimes they're a lot of little prints or a lot of little handmade sculptures or photos of images that I've printed out and then I've collaged, and my work is really layered. I use sand and I use glass and I use soil and fabric. So the original pieces, it might be a representational self-portrait. That sells. And I hoard my images after they're gone, and I reappropriate them. Yeah. Work in a series of images. So I get to sort of layer up stuff in some work. Right. Some doesn't. I love all that texture, all those materials. Oh. Really loving it. So I'm pouring paint and then I'm rolling over it and then I'm scraping away from it and collaging on top of it. And these days I'm putting the lines on last. So I take the lines, these I'm working on self-portraits that I've been doing for years. And I just keep reappropriating them until I'm getting them right. I haven't gotten them yet. Because sometimes it takes 5-6 years to build up a background, the layering like light. You see it in the work, and then you see it when it is. So the self-portraits, that's what I'm working on always. But these days, self-portraits that I took of myself when I was in the middle of making a series of paintings. I just happened to have a camera because I was shooting work on the wall. Right. So everything is sort of a self-study. Yeah. They call them self-studies. There might be a mandala in it that has sand. One of my kayaking images from a little boy that I was friends with Malawi. Pictures of driftwood that I took. Whatever. Like, these glass beads, and I got some construction beads to give me that I love. It's like just whatever I can layer in. And the hummingbird is a big theme for me. The dragonfly is a big and what's the meaning behind those? It seems like all of the cultures around the world Siamese, right? That fly. Yeah. Things that have certain attributes. The hummingbird. For me, the dragonfly was this boy that I grew up with that always tortured me. And I hated it.
Yeah.
And one day he tied a string to the end of a dragonfly, and the dragonfly chewed his own tail off to get away. And I just thought, wow.
Badass.
You're badass.
Right. Oh.
So that was like honestly, that was one. And then every time I was by a river, every time I was by water, it's a dragonfly. As I began to study all the different cultures, their relationship to nature. So that is what my work is about. It's about meaning to nature, also means to nature, despite rights. These creatures, like the dragonfly, it's Japanese, the Jamaicans, the Incas, the Aztecs, Greeks, the Sudanese. Everybody has a meaning. Everybody has this benevolent understanding. Dragonfly and the hummingbird. You know about the hummingbird. It dies every night, or it actually slows its heart rate down.
Wow. Its
wings beat in a pattern. Figure 8, which is infinity. That's why it backwards, it's down. It's the most versatile fly there is. Its heart, it's the biggest in relation to its body. It's an incredible, incredible creature. It lives on the edge of life at all times. It's like, I need to eat every 20 minutes. Everything I do is like burning up all the food, getting find some nectar.
Wow.
On this planet. It's amazing. They're incredible.
Yeah.
And the text that's in my work is often text about Ixchel, who is this cute, who is the god, who was jealous male moon man or something like that, and struck her down, and it was a flock of dragonflies, brought her back to life after like the jealous moon. And there are all these stories, all these myths that link up flying things, our human existence to be mystified. So it's like, I guess, precursor to God.
Yeah.
These beautiful things that could fly and move and do things that we couldn't do. So that's
right.
That's me and these creatures. It's all about me and these creatures, and us and you when we observe it.
Yeah.
Just storytelling. I think each artist has to tell their story from their own perspective. That's the only way.
Yeah. And I love that idea that you're making self-studies, but then you become like the universal person or woman almost, that your self-studies are totally about you, but they're also about just being human.
Yeah, they're the result of the observation, because we observe. Artists, we observe a lot. I feel like it's a part of our job.
Yeah.
It's what we're hardwired to do.
Completely. And who would you say are your biggest influences in your work? Like, are there other artists that you just love that you can't get enough of? Or is it more of the myths and stories? Is that more inspirational for you?
Observing humanity. And there are artists that I like. The things that I like about them is the trajectory of their lives, their process.
Yeah.
How they live their process.
Yeah. It's so interesting to hear that, because I feel like I've asked other artists this question and I've heard similar responses, that people will say, well, there are artists that I really like the artists themselves and sort of their life and their process more than, their work's great or whatever, but it's more about the person. It's so interesting to me to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm happy we're in a time when there's more documentation on the lives of artists.
Yes.
I just love me a documentary, and I really love to hear about how artists live their lives and how they got on with things.
Yeah.
It's really intriguing to me. And
especially other women.
Especially, it's like, talk about living on a starvation diet. Come on, we've been starving.
Yeah.
So I'm just intrigued by all of them, really, like any knowledge that I can get. I'm always interested in hearing and seeing how this individual walks their life as an artist.
Yeah.
It's gotta be, it's not easy. It's never, ever easy.
Yeah. And how do you do it? How do you kind of balance teaching with making, and then are you selling work? Are you trying to sell work? How do you kind of balance all of that?
It's, to be an entrepreneur. There's one thing to be an entrepreneur and you're selling somebody else's product, right?
Right.
You're making a product and then you have to sell it. If that's what you want to do, if you want to make a business. Yeah, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
It's a 3-4 hour gig. If you're good with the making, not so good with making and teaching. If you're making and teaching, I don't have kids, right? I don't I don't have a man in my life. I have to like put his socks. Like, so I can't imagine, how it manages the making, the marketing, family, and the, career to bring in money. Because you got to have two jobs in this world because you're independent and wealthy.
Right.
If you're lucky enough to be, that ain't me. So, like, I have to work and market and make, and that's enough for me. I mean, I'm already like, damn.
Right. And then add teaching in there. And then add.
Yeah, I mean, that's the work. That's the work. It's like you have to make your art and you have to market it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to like step outside your studio to, bring that other income into.
Right. And then, I mean, even if it's just you still have to take care of yourself.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it's a balance.
Yeah.
I tried a commission. I just did a show this past summer.
Awesome. Yeah.
And, it killed me.
Oh.
But, it's like, it's not, it's construction work. It's fancy construction work painting your own.
Oh.
Come on.
Yeah.
Face it. Like, people are like, you are like Michelangelo. I'm like, trust me, it's not romantic painting ceiling.
Oh, yeah. It's tiring. Yeah, I saw you had a little video of like a snippet of that. It does look tiring.
Give me a neck ache, don't it?
Oh, just looking at it.
Everybody says that. It's like, yeah, trust. It's like, that was terrible. That was 2 months ago.
Oh.
Not fun. Not even a little. It's really intense.
Yeah.
Well, honored to have done it and proud and all that stuff. But like, no, it wasn't fun. I mean, whoever thinks being an artist is fun is like, they don't know the real. It's hard work. It's work. It's good work. It's work you love, but it's hard work.
Yeah. Especially just thinking about all of the challenges and all of the barriers that there are to making what you really like would love to make. So if I could take away all those constraints and barriers, what sort of project would you want to do?
Oh, well, it would be really.
And give you whatever funding and resources you need. This is like in the dreamland.
Yeah, no, it would be the art garden. No, absolutely. Yeah. Grow stuff, see, plant, illustrate. And then, you have like sound lady that was over at the Botanical Garden. You have sound people now who are sort of wiring up plants.
Ah.
And they're making, there are a few artists doing sound installations.
Right, yeah.
With plants drinking, sound that they make, sound that their root structures make. I'd have like stuff like that. Floodlights, I'd have a rescue by, just sort of have that obvious connection to nature, outside spaces, all living things. And then, the process, how we interpret it through these senses, have evolved to use them this way. So how can we harness, just use them? Because the more you use them, it creates benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff really matter.
Yeah.
These endorphins and this therapeutic.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I'd have the art garden, have the rescue. We'd be growing. We like hanging out with like pigs that we don't have enough land. Land trust. What? Are you kidding me? And land trust. If I had all the money in the world, if I had like bird money in them guys, I'd be buying land.
Yeah.
And leaving it for nature. Not like touch it, because if you leave nature alone, it comes back. So yeah, that's what I would do. I'd just set up a little
amazing.
Documenting. Learning. I mean, there's plenty of sciences you can teach through that. Bring schools in. Connected to their curriculum. That's the dream. That's, once I get my studio going in my house.
Yeah.
A small room.
Awesome. I love it.
Or I'd just be sailing, Rebecca, and painting and never hitting land. Sailing.
Yes. You just live on the water.
Well, I'd hit land. I'd visit.
Maybe you have a little bit of land for your garden that you can come back to.
Yeah, I think it's possible. All those good things. Why not? I mean, everything is broken.
Yeah.
So since everything is broken, why not make it exactly as it should be? It's in balance.
Yeah. Bring it back and fix it. Yeah.
I think that now I'm coming back, like as we come back from this, that folks are going to need even more to visually express what they can't verbally express, because there's a lot of I think folks are overstressed. So kids have to be overstressed. Yeah,
absolutely. There's, so much anxiety right now.
It's everywhere, and it's hard to get away from it because it's tangible, it's real.
Yeah.
But arts, for me, it's arts process that always has, brought me through trauma and crazy devastation. So I understand.
Yeah, using the arts to help heal, using the arts as therapy.
Yeah, I mean, it's taken me through that death of two mothers, father, two brothers, friends.
Yeah.
Dear brother, late brother was schizophrenic, that trauma that he had. So, arts processes death in me. It stayed with me.
Through all that loss. Yeah.
It helps people. I see it all the time. It helps kids all the time.
Yeah. And what is life looking like for you right now? I guess it would be a two-part question. What does your week look like now with all this sort of, pandemic situation, and what was it? How was your sort of running back and forth to different schools and stuff? What did that look like before?
Well, that was like, the usual drill. All the trains on the buses,
Yep.
We were doing the in-school and the after-school. I was preparing a series of self-portraits for Doc Hart. I was invited by Katrina Jeffries to participate in a show there as a part of the biennial. We have the Harp Biennial, and then they have Doc Hart, which is like all of the events around biennial gallery shows. So that was the plan.
Yeah.
That's what I was working on, these teaching. And so teaching my seniors, teaching my kids, teaching my after school, my Chinese cultural center after school, my usual drill.
Right.
Working with my seniors, my elders, and just now, what am I doing? I am still making self-portraits. And that's something I'm always making fun of. Never not. I'm not developing lesson plans. I'm not in the schools. I'm not.
Yeah.
So that's different because generally I have that side of my brain turned on.
Right. Yeah. So do you feel like it's giving you studio time that you really are valuing, and sort of like, is it a just situation where now you have extra time?
Well, I think it's always good to have extra studio time.
Yeah. So hard to come by.
Always good, and it's an odd way to have it, coupled with financial stress, right? But
right.
It's good. I mean, more time to mess up more. But yeah, I should be more stressed, probably. But all I can do is make art. Like, I don't know what else to do. It's not like I wouldn't be, what am I stop making art? I don't know.
Yeah. And it's kind of, I think of it also as, is me stressing out about it going to actually change anything other than, making me possibly less healthy and happy and able to use this time? Is it actually going to change the situation? No. No,
it's not. It really isn't. I know there's a wisdom. I'm happy that I'm an artist because I have that. I'm just making art. Just, you know what I mean? It's folding into a new day. Those of you guys who have kids, you're folding reality, schedule around the home, doing animals and that. But it seems like almost a responsibility. You're gonna stop making art now? No. So
yeah,
I have no conflicts about it.
Yeah, that's good. And yeah, it feels like it is, you were saying it's like a responsibility to keep making, to not stop now. And I feel like it's almost mostly a responsibility to myself, just to let it be that sort of therapy that it is.
Yes, and to document yourself in this time, because it's quite difficult to see yourself. And that's why self-study is, and I think I'm always really intrigued by artists when they do self-portraits, because it's I understand that it's a way for them to see themselves. Mm-hmm. So that's, for me, it's a way for me to see myself seeing something, way of, and that's also why I like to incorporate it into this classroom, that practice, put yourself in context.
Right. And to step back and observe yourself.
Exactly. It's very important because as much as we take selfies and we seem very self-absorbed, we are not self-aware. Awareness by getting with yourself, a little bit with yourself, step back It's almost like astral projecting.
Uh-huh.
You almost have to astral project. And that's tough. It's not an easy thing to do. It's a lot of reflection.
Yeah. Ooh.
So I think that's kind of key. And that's one thing that I learned from, see the difference in someone who's self-absorbed and then self-aware. It's a difference in behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, I mean, you notice it with older students. They're sort of like have given themselves the space just to get into their own heads for a minute.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Yeah.
shoulders relaxed. Had some time to work out a drawing.
Yeah.
It just gives you a minute with yourself. Don't take minutes with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible to take a minute with yourself when you're not there. You're outside of it.
Yeah. And that's where your visualization and sort of centering, I feel like those exercises make such an impact.
Because this is something in my own practice I take for granted. I'm just there. I'm there on purpose.
Uh-huh.
But it takes, if there's no intention, then you're not gonna, then you're gonna need to just get into, recognize your own body, understand your own body, feel your shoulders, feel your hands, feel your feet.
Right.
What are you looking at? It's a quick transition to do it. People exercise to do it. People do all kinds of things to do it, but just showing that little tool to a little person, or to a high school person or a middle school person, reminding them. We always have to be reminded of things, be on guard, and we are trained to look into a device now. Kids are addicted to it. A lot of my high school students, they are just straight up addicted.
Yeah.
And now I just say, I know you're addicted. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. They're all itching and twitching. I'm sorry, guys. I know. But it's gonna have to make a drawing now. Okay, let's just work it out with that gel pen. Adults, the same thing. I have no problems, no compulsions to grab some paint and throw it around. I understand the benefit of this. I'm here to share.
Yeah. Yeah. I know there is such an addiction now to it. And I get there sometimes where I'm like, oh, I need to check, I need to share or whatever. But yeah, the first addiction is art making. Throw some paint around.
Well, no, I mean, as an art maker, we need to get a little more addicted to the device. You get good and you're like, okay, I'm going to post some stuff and then you just fall off. There's an exchange, right? There's an exchange. We can learn from the youth in terms of how to quickly use the device and, teach the students how to targetedly use it.
Yeah.
It has its place. I mean, it's how to use technology and how to evolve with technology. It's happening.
Yeah, and now it's more important than ever as a way to stay connected.
Yes.
I mean, here we are talking across the country.
Exactly. And so it has its benefit. It's just on balance.
Where
and how, and it's possible to do it. I know people do it. I know people bounce. I mean, you have folks like Andy Wiley, who was wildly successful, contemporary artist. He's opening up residencies all over Africa.
Yeah. Oh.
Black Rock making his art, and he's got a business going, and it's doable.
Yeah. And you were talking earlier about wanting to put in an application to be able to go to Jamaica. Would you want to talk more about that?
Yeah, I've been looking for a school or an organization in Jamaica, through friends of friends for a while.
Yeah.
I did a light research, there are a few schools. It's just really about linking up with school. Basically, I would like to do a series of workshops with educators and volunteers with special needs population. I don't know if I know they have a drive. I don't know if they have a District 75 per se. I think it's like here, there's inclusion.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to do smart workshops with the little ones.
Yeah.
In logistics, I've been wanting to do something diaspora, and specifically in Jamaica since I'm from, and it would be just a nice way to spend some time there that is useful.
Right.
While I'm chilling out on the beach.
Yes.
And then body surf. So, mangoes.
Yeah.
But that's something I would like to do. It's the 50th anniversary of my mother's passing. And I've been wanting to go back to Jamaica to spend some time. She Walk, which is in St. Anne Pond. So, spend some time there and then just do residencies there. I mean, that would be a Fulbright scholarship application, or I could be linking up with a school, just making it happen.
Yeah.
But either way, that is what I would like to do. I mean, I've been lately wanting to teach myself again how to sign, because when I went to school, I learned how to sign. I'd like to work with the deaf, doing some visual works. I want to know what sound looks like. That would be an interesting story for individuals to tell.
Oh, yeah.
So either the special ed community on the spectrum, or the deaf community specifically. I need to teach myself sign. That's where I would like to take the next steps. Working in the school system, working in the community. Here has been great. It's 10 years. I've never been in New York for 10 years straight. I've been my whole adult life. I've always traveled. I'm always
moving around.
Yeah.
So are you starting to feel like an itch to move again, get out? And
yes, yeah. I want to get on the water. I want to sail. I mean, I just want to swim by water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I need a lot of money to do that.
Right.
I wouldn't do it.
You need a patron.
I need a patron. But yeah, I would like to sail. I always, there's certain places I want to hit. I was looking forward to going to see West Africa, because I'd only really gone to East Central and Southern. I hadn't been to West.
Mm-hmm.
So either way, I'll do Inside Out projects somewhere. I'd like to, if I do this, maybe I'd also do an Inside Out project with some kids there. There's all kinds of great activated actions that happen.
Yeah.
Wherever you go in the world. So I think that the knowledge that I gained by working as a subcontractor for the DOE is informative and helpful. And it's linked me up with some fantastic educators. It's got me in the classroom with a lot of fantastic questions.
Yeah.
Moving forward with this virus and whether it's changing the face of society, it's definitely, I've been saying this for a while now, about there needs a new paradigm in a way.
Yeah.
And, if someone like me sets out and sets up the art farm, then,
mm-hmm.
who I know who are educators in the current system will have resources.
Right.
Into their students that benefits from these years of experience by this society. Create another experience, another creative experience. I just really want folks who I share process with to come into a studio and come into an environment where it's all alive.
Yeah. So almost reversing the idea of sending the teaching artist out into the school. It's bring the kids to me and to the studio and to the art garden or art farm.
Or give the teaching artist that access. Like however we can bring the studio to the classroom. In the classroom, the art teacher can bring it. Just expand, let it be an experiential moment for that individual to understand that art is happening inside of their school and outside of their school.
Yeah.
Where it's happening. What it feels like out in society.
Yeah. Do you think that's possible online? Is that possible while everyone is kind of hunkering down? What would that look like? Is that sharing videos, or is it something more interactive?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's happening in sharing videos. It seems like there's some artists that are putting out videos, making videos. It's all of those things that are happening, and more of it, right? Like I say, more of it, the more people approach it with their different twists. And absolutely, as long as there's, this connection to that individual, their hand, their implement on their substrate, as long as the process involves them touching something that they make that is not a screen, they can perceive. Once we separate the connection of making something that is tangible, that is experiential, once we take the book out of their hand, mm-hmm. the information can come from a screen, but the practice has to be on some sort of substrate, paper, on glass, in soil, with a stick. Like the interaction, the making process can't be with the screen. The making process has to be with the body. It has to be made of matter.
Yeah, and that goes back to that idea of the action you were talking about earlier, the process.
Exactly. It all comes back to you. It's a grounding. It grounds your mind into your body, into your action. You tend to make these lines that make sense. I don't intend to make these lines. I make these lines. I make conversation that is happening with yourself and your body. There's too much of a conversation happening right now with the mechanical device in the body. So just use the mechanical device because we all are inside. You can't lose contact with the body. And art making keeps you in contact with your body. So yeah, the videos that are happening, the instructional pieces that are happening. I just always say that, if you're doing it with your little one, a lot of friends, I know you might be taking instruction from a screen, but I just don't want us, while we're making, let's make things together. Not if there are two people in a room, you guys make something together.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of starting to wrap up. I have some just kind of fun, more like get to know you questions. Is there anything you're curious about right now? Anything at all?
Yeah. I'm always curious about neuroscience. How the different parts of our brain communicate with each other.
Yeah.
How that drives our actions. I'm intrigued by the fact that when we see something, our brains gather up every image that we've seen that references this.
Right.
I'm really intrigued by how when we are here, our amygdala does its thing, and then the reasoning part, the frontal cortex, front bits, tries to reason it and step it out. And you're really in fear that communication just bounces off of each other. It almost overrides. I'm intrigued by the fact that everything wants to live, right? Like viruses, parasites. Like I had malaria 4 times.
Wow.
And that was my first understanding of how inconsequential. I mean, when I was sailing, I got just how inconsequential we are. How a little mosquito just wants to anesthetize you, and there's a parasite living in that liquid, and it just.
Yeah.
And I'm intrigued by viruses. They're the same thing. They're just they're smarter even. They don't want to kill us. They want to make us sick enough to reproduce, and they're reproducing. They just want to they'll keep us alive. Just until they reproduce. I'm intrigued by small things that are bigger than we are.
Yeah.
How I watched the documentary on the 1918 pandemic. I'm intrigued by how we make the same mistakes over and over.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, repeating history, and often the worst parts of it.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by giraffes, elephants. They're just so cool. I'm intrigued by animals. I'm intrigued by life. I'm intrigued by other things based on survival, like hummingbirds. I'm intrigued by everything.
Right. I think that's part of being an artist, that your eyes are always wide open, and you're kind of, curious about so many things.
I'm intrigued by little people and how they
yes.
When I see a little person, I'll be like, look at her, look at little Rebecca, and look at, I'm intrigued by how if you had a sister, your daughter probably looks like her.
She does.
I'm intrigued by that. I'm intrigued by that shit. I'm like, what?
She looks more like my sister than me.
Yes, it's weird. It's like, this is, I'm intrigued by all of those things. What the heck? What? How did you give birth to your sister? Notice I said that to my sister-in-law. I was like, how did you give birth to your husband's sister? Why does she look like me?
Right. It's so crazy. It's so wild to have that little person.
And that little voice. I'm intrigued by children's little voices.
Oh, yeah.
I'm intrigued by how they'll just randomly walk up to you and say shit. No bearing on anything.
Right.
All serious, like they mean it.
Yeah. My daughter gets upset with us if we laugh when, because she'll tell us something in all seriousness, and it's just the most hilarious random thing, and we kind of laugh, and she's like, "Don't laugh at me."
I didn't say nothing funny. I'm serious.
I'm so sorry. I'm not laughing at you. You're just adorable.
No, it's like, really? What?
Okay, another really just kind of fun random question. Speaking of random things kids say, what is your go-to order at your favorite restaurant? It's a hard one, especially in New York. There's so much good food.
Well, Yeah. Probably my go-to order at any restaurant, whether it's by the beach or in the city. It's a plate of fish, rice, and some nice fresh vegetables.
Mm.
So salmon and rice, fish, rice, and vegetables anywhere in the world.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Any day.
Is there anything else you would want to share?
Yeah, I hope that folks get a good time to spend with themselves, do something that gives them their joy and some time to reflect.
Yeah.
Because sensing a lot of stress and anxiety, which is normal.
Mm-hmm.
Times of change. Like I always like to quote Octavia Butler, characters from Parable of the Sower, always said, "Change is God." To me, that means just change is normal. We don't evolve without it.
Yeah.
We don't evolve, we extinct. So either, is it a linear choice or not a linear choice? It's like one or the other, right? It's like either you embrace change that is inevitable or you be changed inevitably. We can evolve. We should evolve. I thought we were more evolved than we are. Baby steps.
Yeah. Baby steps.
Yeah. Everything is full. Like, stop buying toilet paper. Like, really?
Right.
Like,
you got enough.
Embarrassing already.
Oh.
Like, embarrassing to be a human with the toilet paper already. Kind to each other.
Yeah.
Kind to yourself. And I think, we need to get with ourselves a little bit more. Just be kind to ourselves.
Yeah.
Space. Literally, space. I mean, let's all take everything that's happening as metaphor, and maybe it'll be easy to understand what's happening. We need to chill and be kind to ourselves.
Yes.
Make art, buy art,
make art.
Teach art, share art.
Yes. Yeah. Keep art going.
Yeah, keep it alive. It's what has always saved us. It's what will always save us. It's the artists, all genres. It's sit back and observe. We participate and observe. We observe and observe. Body and we observe. Work and we observe. It all comes from a place of love. It's our job.
Yeah.
Somebody's got it. Has its place. It's very important. And artists, don't stop making art. We need you.
Yes.
Educators, don't stop sharing the process.
Yeah.
Now more than ever. Now more.
Yeah. And is there anyone that you would want to give like a shout out to or thank?
The artists, the educators for sure.
Yeah.
The artists who live their art lives. The unsongs, the untolds. We're all interested to hear it.
Yes. Tell your story.
We're all interested to see it.
Yeah.
No, I am. I love seeing art. So much good stuff. People are making a lot of beautiful work. I'm expressive. And there are a lot of voices in the chorus. So
there's always room for more voices.
Oh my gosh. That's the whole point to it. I mean,
yeah.
It's your calling. Better answer it.
Absolutely.
It's for a reason.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about 11-11. I keep seeing 11-11. I'm like, well, go on then. You do it. Everybody's voice is important. So
yeah.
That's how we learn. That's how the ones that come after us will learn.
Yeah. Maybe we can stop repeating history.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't. I'm just watching. We're watching. We're watching it happen. And obviously, it's like when you have a bad dream about something that you need to address in your life, and the dream gets worse and worse and worse and worse. So you address it. Yeah. And once you address it, it goes away. I've had that experience.
Yeah.
Many people have had that experience. It's like it's one of those Psych 101 things. So we deal with the underlying situations and issues that would make someone like him a reality. I mean, if we're worried about toilet paper, not about healthcare workers getting what they need, then,
right.
It's realism. So, but again, it can be resolved. We can do things.
Yeah.
We can change our ways.
This reaction also shows us, what you've been I've been hearing the young climate activists saying, like, we knew it was possible. This, the response to the virus is what we needed for the climate. Right.
And so, the response to the virus, there's a way that we are treating each other and dealing with each other that has to be addressed one way or the other, hook by crook. So, now it's being addressed. It's California and the homeless situation. Oh. Really? Really? Now it has to be addressed, right? So
yeah, it's insane just to see that.
You know what I mean? It's like when you're a teenager and your parents are like, do your laundry. You're not going to have no clean. and you don't do your laundry. You don't have no clean clothes. And you need clean clothes because everything smells really bad. Well, whose fault is that? That, now you funky because you didn't do your laundry.
Yeah.
Expecting nature, we build on lava and wonder why our house just burned down from a volcano. We overbuild and we wonder why there are brush fires. We burn down all of our houses. So it's no. Well, the answer is get folks to sort of keep nature a bit more, but
it is possible.
I think so. I mean, it's just, you have to be willing to change our behavior.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I know that it's possible for us to sort of make that happen on a larger scale, but I think that's not going to happen until we have women in positions of power.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So until we sort that out.
Eventually it'll happen. We'll get there. I wanted to ask one last thing. Where can listeners connect with you online?
I guess my Instagram and then my website is PamelaAllen.com. PamelaAllen.com.
Awesome. And I will link to that in the show notes.
That's my website. It's the easiest way to check out the work, see what's new in the studio. And also you can see some of my teaching arts work, jewelry, accessories.
Yes.
Wearables. It goes on and on and on.
Yes. And we didn't even really talk about that.
No, we didn't get into the cottage industry, but so much to talk about. I mean, again, marketing, bad at marketing.
It's so hard.
There's so much. I mean, there's a lot happening, and it seems like I appreciate this conversation.
Yes, thank you so much for taking the time, and it was great to talk with you.
Keep up the good work over there.
Thank you. You too. Hang in there. Keep it up.
I loved what Pamela said about creating space. Space for making art, for looking at art, for sharing ideas. Space for healing, for connecting with nature and with each other. That is so needed right now. She also mentioned teaching art with no supplies. Zero. Nothing. She drew in the dirt with her students. How apt is that? As art teachers everywhere are trying to figure out how to teach online to students who might just have no supplies. Go follow Pamela, send her a note, buy her work if you can. Now is the time to support artists and small businesses.
Thank you so much for listening. As always, you can reach me at Teaching Artist Podcast on Instagram or teachingartistpodcast@gmail.com. Who do you want to hear from? Please share your recommendations of teaching artists. And if you loved this episode, please subscribe, leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts, and follow me. It really makes a big difference. Thank you.